one day on the doubt that, for example, the AI keras next cloud computing, for example, more on the query can be, not query, but on the ask avi, the me avi DB and said that the cloud we kill is the me avi technology machine jatala that pro career guidance, for example, the resume avi kai override kerat me. But the cloud engineering setting a good like Zatka Kalina, the Lamar resume guidance, the Lamar set.
Type सरियात में आज resume में इन कौन update करता कौन चाहिए हम सरिया
Hi. The say the technology, different technology change keratala. Amiga avi the personal ga me projects case arasi, but tella avi kerati mulo exact ga kai responsibilities menta kalama, exact ka kalama. Tella avi
okay
tella
so
base keri kai ti ye gis ya.
correct तो उसे हमें काय plan ready और आता है ले ये दिया session से मिले उनका hands on है so ते हमारे cloud computing मिले हमें hands on दीदी in fact our long term goal काय मैंने दी we want you to do a project complete on the app develop करते हमारी और integrate with an existing app हमारी कहते दी on the project on the product development में काय पाजे हुए मरते तुंगा in and out कलाइए starting from how to like cloud design करते कि नो desktop design करते कौन हो server based में standalone करते कौन हो मतलब तो कलाई दी cloud architecture कलाई ये and then different services that are available scalability कौन हो security कौन हो अस्की तुम्हें कलाई ये चलो so सनी आओ तो like then like that is one component other one data engineering what different type of data big data कौन हो and what is the standard to communicate between one cloud to another cloud. So for example, Kafka use करा ना सिकोना use करता है. तो लेबुरा मिलती तुम्हें project मानते दी, you'll be very familiar. So idea क्या है मिलती, what a good strong language Python or Java or whatever you're comfortable with Golang and cloud computing and data engineering. એટલે થુની અંતે દી it's કોલ્લા project લાય થુની high for sure. Of course, another important thing is the front end. Okay, React JS lemari. So in fact, we want people who can come and teach React JS mari front end vending. And we're looking for mentors, instructors. So about one. So Sunny, I mean, on the to me, resume update किया था from मैंने दी काय करना. You should have done a project. The project, complete project should be yeah showcase करते करना. क्या था मुझना. So तिक्केदार clear कर carry. You put it in a GitHub, and then GitHub link and resume चाहिए. It speaks volumes. Maybe say it will attract at least interviews about that. And of course, skill set more skills in the section. You are going to put all this. AWS, different services, climate, it will automatically shortlist you. Then obviously will perform in the interview. When Rosing and Sangaram, that's how the industry works, right? You have to have like GitHub with they will have clear cut skills elaborate karna. And in fact, we had a session on how to write resumes, highlight kari. So you could करवाए में. तुम्हें मिली काय दी contribute कर संगो resume prepare करता है काय interview preparation project करवाइए. And in fact,
I can help on cloud computing. Maybe cloud computing I can help. Sure.
Oh, good. Kolla cloud.
Sure.
Azure, yeah. Okay.
Sure.
And Azure, okay. So kolla level like you can do complete application development कराई करवाएगी और admin level की.
नहीं आता कभी नहीं admin level का लाइदा
Okay. Very nice. Very good. Good to know that. Yeah.
Networking तो हमारी speaker.
Okay. Yeah, I mean the overview project yeah session plan कर सकता है. Yeah, we'll reach out to you.
Sure.
Okay, maybe we can start the.
Yes.
Balaji, तुम्ही reach होई रहेगी?
Hello.
संगो Balaji. Yes, Balaji.
Join के
Let's start. It's getting late.
Okay. Askidanga namaskaru. Session first time attend करना but already attend करते हैं idea है. No one can introduction. Sourashtra Professionals Group recently our community help as a platform where we can share our knowledge as well as learn from others and connect with people. So mainly job opportunities share karta, refer karta, मैंने हमें करेगा, but we are also doing some technical knowledge sharing so that if somebody wants to improve on certain skills, then we can share the knowledge and skill we improve करता मरी किल्ला सदा किल्ला रोटी तुंडी चलने सदा latest in नतीनो ये पति जुगिया चलने सदा हल्ती ये knowledge है ना उसमें उन्दा workshop series मारे हमें करेगा वाला workshop में इनिशियली उन्दा 4 sessions plan करेगा तल्ला विंट वो extend हुई क्या चुकर interest है share करते जुकर contents है हमारे हाल तो वो extend करें किल्ला सदा तो ये मुंदड़ी sessions पर असियास मुंदड़ी how we can use AI for job search. Job search करते it's not only for freshers who experienced people also then domain change करना new career improve करना how they can leverage artificial intelligence in their career enhancement. మనతో మరి ఒక session already kicked and for software professionals how they can use AI for productivity improvement in their daily activities or day-to-day activities. ಎಲ್ಲವಿನ we already conduct area ಒಂದು session in the event continuations and phone and data security ಅದ ಏಗಪಟ್ಟ malwares and security threats the security threat manadi not only for computers even mobiles में hack करते menjana चढ़ता तला मारी तला ये कौन यूज कर रहा सी तमाम भी आमी कौन होगा कवरना मन तो विच उन्हें सेशन तो awareness session तला के and in the we are going to cover AI as a companion for software developers so part 2 so ella we already AI use kariya mi kona productivity improve kilwai software engineers so thank you which is specific or Vishnu who is an expert who has more than 20 years of experience in the IT industry and he has also enhanced his knowledge into AI and all so he is giving this session today so Vishnu over to you.
Thanks Balaji, thank you. Just one additional information in general Sourashtra professional group if you are expecting any specific for example of the profile preparation which is say some other session technology pajam or feedback you can reach us in this mail id sourashtraprofessionals@gmail complete word I mean there is no hyphenated or whatever complete word sourashtraprofessionals@gmail.com mail id note keri thodo you can reach to us in this mail. Okay, so feedback additional topic we can plan it out. Like we are planning for cloud workshop series. Ada kona AI workshop series karasi tele mari cloud workshop series plan gelle satta. It's in planning stage. We want to start from beginning. Common say begin I mean on the quick survey mari on the poll career group mo many people opted basics pajamana mari indicate career of course already kalai they have experience they want the advanced concepts but judanga basics pajamni mana hanti we'll start with basics workshop then gradually we'll get into the advanced one plan ready communicate karo even people who have experience please join the sessions in basics so that you can help others also. Okay, so with this note in the session agenda I am saying gray shaded part already part 1 mami cover kare AI in software engineering kona use karwai particularly in coding mani say AI kona use karwai in terms of code generation karato kona debugging karato kona help karai so all these points are more like productivity enhancer for us. I mean day-to-day work how we can utilize the AI for these coding related tasks. The additional I mean explicit can say integrate AI with a specific tool. Example, demo it was a GitHub Copilot integrated with VS Code. So that can really make work very easy. So tell a context movie, we had given a demo. Of course, there are other tools, for example, cursor AI tools. You can explore that. And similarly, documentation help. And this is what was already discussed. Okay, so second part, in the Kai Sanjay other software development life cycle phases. For example, software architecture or design movie, AI kona we use karwai, how would it help? Tell on that, on the topic we repeated the question during the session or offline through mail the question away how AI can be utilized for testing questions away. Because people are really trying to utilize the AI for test automation or even testing as a concept. So we have some examples. We will also see, for example, the language or the technology or the tool how AI can help me. Popular demand topic multiple instance in prompt engineering. Of course, prompt engineering itself can be a topic separately. So in the just introduction, we can see the basic information about what is prompt engineering and how to do this prompt engineering. We can see. So it is planned as a 1.5 hour session. There is no time pressure. To question we can get into the question. So I don't know, the chat might be working for some, may not be some problem in Teams meeting we are facing in every session. So to question raise your hand and then we can take the questions. Okay, so let's get into the content. On a disclaimer and more than a disclaimer, a word of caution. I mean, repeated in Kai Sangadari, AI ikkaduru through company environment use it is purely based on your company's information and data security policy. Okay, some companies allow for the ChatGPT or GitHub Copilot tenus official license with the consideration that it is a dedicated cloud environment for their organization. That allow can. Okay, but it is like a kind of gray area, so we cannot take a call being an outsider. So to me, through official through office environment use first check with your data security policy of your organization whether it is allowed or not. Then you can proceed to use it. Okay, otherwise personal usage from your personal laptop, you can very well use it end to end to learn many things, or even to me on a project parallel than on a personal project in a sense, you can utilize it very well. Okay, so coding part C3. Now we'll get into the other software development lifecycle phases. Okay, first we software design pati. Okay, even before getting into the AI for software design, I wanted to understand from you, from your knowledge and experience and thought process, what is software design and why do we do software design? Maybe Kerhan software design, maybe you can share your experience so that others also will get to know. Anyone? Software design manare kaya cow chicken na.
So Vishnu Mokalaidu Sanguso. So software recommend Abunakamu. So the recommend avi pictorial representation of high level way kenori. Kai Karanjariamiti. So tele career software design. So tele design kai or recommend Konami solution kervai. Telavi Kenoria. Tele design phase. So tele design phase pictorial representation Jugu tool seta Koladun tool use kiri. Kona Maria Mikaranjariamiti on a drawing Mario on the Varanjarias software design. The last whole is software coding will start.
Sure, sure. One of the point Sasi Sangetan illustrating your software requirements in a pictorial way. Okay, that's the right point. Any other thought process? Why do we need cow chicken no software design?
Karthik misunderstand. on the software develop kerthamulla I mean avi STLC mini on the follow kenna software development life cycle manaria
Okay.
temam avi design only on the part அதாவது first avi requirement கல்லறியா analysis கல்லறியா அடுத்து design அடுத்து implementation so designing avi different type of patterns ada kolla pattern follow karasi tela poruthi avi avra software avi develop hoy for example microservice monolithic tela madri kolla design pattern avi follow karasi tela porutha avra software develop karwai.
Sure, correct. So one is illustrating, the other one is concept managing. Couch monolithic and genuine is a microservice architecture. It's a call. So which is more of conceptual. Any other point you'd like to add?
మీ కలయదు సంగీత irka.
No problem. You are right. Tum sange correct is Karthik. Okay, so let's see the points. Okay, first of all, I'm having couch is software design career. We consider it as a blueprint for your software. Blueprint manaria basically the buildings construction karathamla we have a plan which gives the design layout corner elevation corner we have a plan for your building. Similarly I'm on a software build karathamla telaga blueprint is we are calling it as a design. It can be in various format. Pictorial and hathavigin on a format. Some places it can be just the documentation, some places it can be models. Model Maria, for example, you can have a MATLAB model for your software design. Okay, so that depends purely on your use case. To kolla mari product career, kolla industry work career matapurtu. Format of your design could be different. To me, object oriented career na UML design li karan. Okay, but it's a blueprint in different format we can consider. Kaidalanga advantage they it is going to give us a holistic view of your development even before we start. Meaning I am at the start kararasi ango a set of requirements at the design karathalavin will get a clarity on how this project is going to evolve over the time and the clarity of the holistic view of when you do the software design. So that's why to me industry no one recommends to directly jump into the coding. Okay, so recommendation mari solrano industry ma me worker industry puravi aerospace puravi it is mandatory. Without having a software design you cannot get into the coding. Otherwise it is not possible to finally certify your product. Meaning our regulated industry it is more of obligation. Some industries give more like a guideline. Okay, so purpose is same in a different flavor we take it. Couch software design through robustness and efficiency you can ensure by defining a software design. Okay, so directly code and think concept can block and think you will ensure that you are introducing all elements what is required to make your software robust. I think everyone knows what is robust. So for those who don't know, robustness the to me on a nominal scenario work on the software design on the input or some scenario which is not a regularly occurring scenario through blocks or through software we break on out of bound value on the strain scenario it will start breaking. Okay, so that will lead to software failure. Okay, so robust software is something which is designed for handling unknown values also. Okay, so telabroth me force include software design project. And finally to me planning perspective software design you will really be able to see the technical risk and bottleneck. Block diagram imagine interface you will already visualize that this interface is going to be difficult because of data throughput when he may say a latency. So you will already visualize that there is going to be a risk and you will start planning mitigation for it. So these are the advantages of software design. Okay, how it is done. One example in Sasi Sange, Karthik Sange, you think about the design choices or pictorial representation what other points you think it goes into how part of design? Anyone, any other thought?
Some flow diagram kind of chart mari use kari how our software design will be in future, like that.
Sure, flow chart. Yeah, correct. Flow chart is not a pictorial representation.
Visio.
Yeah, Visio is a tool. So in Visio you can create your diagrams, be it flow chart or use case diagram kollabana create karwai. So Visio is a tool. So there are tools. For example, UML there are plenty of tools available with which you can make UML models. Okay. So how conceptually it is done, first of all, understanding the requirements, analyze and understanding the requirement. Of course, it is part of the requirement analysis, but when we are thinking along with the design, it is considered like predecessor for the design. Analyze and understand the requirements. That's the first step. Mainly, we will decompose the requirements into functional blocks. For example, decomposing requirement user requirement. When this kind of an input comes, this feature needs to be triggered or enabled. To be decompose where is the responsibility of front end is ending and back end code trigger. So the boundaries defined, you will start thinking in blocks. Okay, so that's how the design is. I mean, basically on a clutter requirements. I'm various forms of requirement put together on a clutter to me decompose organize block and functional block and again organize you will start identifying responsibilities for each block. That is the typical step being done in design also. Once blocks identify to me interfaces identify on the block. For example, data cleaning on the block you call it data preprocessor. Data analyze on the block data analyzer so interface information flow start thinking. So basically clutter first box box connectivity create interface. Okay, so box logic functionality elaborate. Okay, so this is the typical design flow. There are various ways. This is the typical flow, how it goes. And finally, major point to the architecture activities in the work areas, and say you can relate to this. Design and architecture is many times it is more about making the choices. Visio use again, outer tool use on the choice you will have to make. The Karthik Sanghe, so monolithic architecture microservices it's a choice. Okay, choice and trade-off, it is main element in the design. Okay, so this is how the design activity happens. Clear so far? Okay, so how AI can help? AI, various use case scenarios. So for multiple sessions, the job search content creation coding use we have seen various use cases. Till understanding if you have to tell how AI can help in software design. Anybody, any thought?
Vishnu, maybe use case angry diagram aji jata mari ravai.
Exactly.
So flow chart sangwai talamari. So kai kai only tool mami kona kenamiti kerere buru comment sangla tawata maybe tal draw arjigiri.
Exactly. So the capabilities of the tool we can get it done. We'll see one example, not directly as a diagram. I'll show you in an indirect way how to get a diagram. Example they could see. Yes, getting a diagram or picture is one possibility. This is a primary use
Their suggestion puswaya. For example, trade-off करते कोल्ला best हो और उधर choice रही तेरा choice हम कोल्ला भी और recommend को fit हो इमती.
Exactly. Exactly. That is one another possibility. For example, maybe more design the review care manuvai. I have made a decision like this. Ella ella use case suit hoigin he, or where do you see a gap on mari, we can make it as a reviewer also. Okay, so I'll quickly explain. So I mainly guys say LLM. I mean so far AI is asking generative AI, the chat GPT or Gemini's, we are talking about the large language models. The main capability natural language capability. I mean requirement analysis this is what is going to play the key role. Couch requirement user story and requirement text and use case description and so everything is about language. Okay, so the software development ambiguous requirement topic and debate. Okay, but at the same time LLM has a very good natural language capability. We can utilize it to make our requirement analysis and synthesize it. Okay, and another thing I am going to say, it can comprehend logically. So where it can be useful is LLM, various bits and pieces of information put together, it can help me to identify the functional blocks. Functional similarity will identify. To me, 10 parameters angano, ASCII 10 parameter let's say on a 9 parameter pre-processing pajaboda through a requirement text interface, it can say you would require a pre-processing block. It can recommend. So telamari comprehension, logical comprehension capability, we can use it for identifying the similarity. And on a major technology stack, the name itself is large language model. And moreover, the OpenAI, Gemini, it has a tremendous amount of data gone into its training. So what we'll have to consider is it knows that much information about technology. Okay, be it language or tool or on a tool set juguya kalai manatolo ella we easy technology stack identify use hoyi the other trade of sasi process on reasoning ability we can tap to help us in trade off. Okay, and finally we can get it as a reviewer also. Okay, so what I'll do is examples that to see if you have the chat GPT we already use you can parallelly try also. Give me a minute. Okay, so my chat GPT on the screen I have parallelly some prompts already prepared. Live type correct later. Okay, so I will show from that some examples. I have prepared some prompts and kept it. Okay, example. So from here I'm going to pick and use the prompt. Okay, so first time we will see an example for how do I make design for some module. Okay, I'm not getting into really a code itself. Okay, so I'll place the prompt. Okay, me explain I have time series data. I think you might know what is time series data. Data with a timestamp it is called time series data. Example but I'm not going to feed this data at all. So day or city temperature information is recorded in this file. Okay, so I have something in a CSV file. Okay, so how I am prompting is I have a time series data. I want to design a Python module to analyze and visualize this data. Okay, first of all, I don't want to see the code. Here is somebody by nature to me questions code because the training is heavy on coding side. So I want to do a Python and say it will start giving code. More idea of coding I want to see a design. So I'm stopping it saying that I don't need the code now. Don't give the code till I say code, please. Okay. So you can see how it is giving me a visual representation of how my module is going to look like. Okay. So to me begin city begin data data loader, data cleaner, analyzer, visualizer, you can have your code structure. Here, it has already given me a basic design. Okay. And also it is giving me a high level information of what each of these files, the Python file needs to contain. It has even gone to a level of defining a configuration. Okay, so after we just module can assemble here. Let's think that I'm going to add one additional information. Okay, so I will say I want module as a class. Me object oriented can additional requirement I'm giving. Okay, so now it has modified its design, saying that temperature analyzer class, it has given me the module structure in a different way, and it is populating the information of what are the class method. Okay, so data loading and cleaning, initially module can sangay. Now it is telling me these are the core methods for cleaning your data and parsing your data. It is giving me additional information and clearly segregating, like exploratory analysis kai method visualization kai it is giving me all possible clues. Okay, and then for example I want to be specific. See, how I'm doing the prompting is, me want to outline first I'm putting another information or constraint saying that I want object oriented design. Okay, then I'm going to ask more specific visualization proper. Okay, adami city temperature information saying see temperature trend over time for multiple cities together as a area or line graph. Scatter plot bar chart I'm giving specific requirement, and also I want to see a temperature data distribution for various cities in a tiled graph. So I'm getting more and more specific about my requirement, and still it is not giving me the complete code or whatever. And it is just helping us to design. Okay, so first code first of all, personally, code so it is very common for many people when we have some complex problem statement. Code it is not a good idea. First design then gradually we get into the code. We are getting into that approach. Okay, so now visualization specific requirement it has modified those visualization class method. Method for visualization in class machidre. Okay, so I want one more requirement then we can ask for a skeleton also. Okay, now what I'm saying is city name in periodicity. After example city daily periodicity daily timestamps and okay, but I might have a different data set. So city name listing in periodicity of time series to initialization parameter okay, so that later me different time series data delay same code can work. Now you see I'm thinking about the scalability of my code. Okay, direct code I'm thinking in requirements, I'm thinking in design, I'm gradually bringing in scalability. Through unit method okay, what this enables example it would have given periodicity. It is day day daily or monthly, yearly, or you can even change it to hourly. It would have considered. Okay, so there are some additional questions what I thought I'll ask. Finally, what I'll do is at the beginning, I'm going to ask, give me the code files for all requirements up to the function signature. More implementation because it is going to give me a skeleton alone. Once you have the skeleton, for example, you can take it to your coding process in GitHub Copilot and you can do extensive coding based on the requirement. again, it starts preparing the code skeleton now. Okay, so if we go inside, it is not going to give me the function definitions, rather empty skeleton geti just pass statement tele. Okay, so now in this we can further fine tune. We know yellow library use library use all these things we can ask. Here it has not assumed anything like what library we are going to use, because it is not about implementation. It is only about the class definition. So this is one kind of design. Got it? So on the requirement there, I mean, gradually prompt additional requirement feed finally we are getting a code skeleton. We are not really getting into the code. Now we diagram and we can still consider. For example, we plot temperature distribution. What I'll do is the free version of tool use it has limited image capability. The ChatGPT moves me a picture of a mountain generate but whereas design diagram it may not be accurate because we are using a model which doesn't have the capability. Okay, so instead of diagram there are some tools. One of the example is there is a format called mermaid. Okay, so what I'm saying is, for this code skeleton, make a class diagram, use case diagram. Rather, I will ask like object sequence diagram. Okay, so UML notation. Make a class diagram and use object sequence diagram in mermaid format. Okay, so if I ask mermaid format, so you can see that it is giving me a textual representation. There are some tools itself available. Mermaid flow. Or there are some locally installed tool also it is available. Utilize class on the first class mode. So basically, class diagram nothing but kai method kai a private and public method or elements class diagram. So it has given in a way that it can become a diagram. For example, to the complex class structures, there is a derived class and parent class and to me derived structure heavy, then it can generate that entire class diagram in this format. The object sequence diagram thing. Let's see what does it give. So you can see how this object sequence diagram it has designed for me. Code skeleton from the requirements with specific constraints and other things. Then I am asking it to give me a diagram in a particular format, because LA diagram ChatGPT generate maybe try may not be accurate. Try design diagram free version it doesn't have capability. Instead, another method. I mean mermaid this is a format which there are free tools available. On the tool. Apart from that, drawing.
Of course, 7:40.
Hello. Okay, fine. So this is how it can help in design. Okay, so example we have taken a specific module. Mic on sir. Mute please. Okay, so the example a module. It is not really about entire software or whatever. It is just one module what I would like to design. Design for example, the illustration we have the illustration. Even before that, we have really discussed with ChatGPT to make the right design with right requirements. The initial module we said I want in a class కామనది mo need కామనది in the on data set teladu initialize keri me on object use karo so on the data set avai telamu additional flexibility pajamni we kept adding more and more requirements and finally we have our design ready adu ellathu micha document ready use kelva illa diagram again we can use it in a documentation also. Okay, and parallelly the code skeleton we can further continue to do the coding. Okay, so this is one example. Before I move on to the another example, any specific question konga kai questions ayala example? Anybody, any point? Okay, so I'll
also one second, Vishnu. तुम्ही तुला डायग्राम बोलणं फॉर्मॅट मग कन्वर्ट करूया म्हणे काय त्याला काय
ಎಲ್ಲ mermaid format அதாவது mermaid முன்னாடி எவிகினோ it is basically a textual format for representing diagrams எல்லாமா மவி tunga UML diagram if you can see below tunga evigino UML diagrams mulli avai even otherwise there are flow chart or state transition diagram ASCII evigino it is possible to generate in this format but at the core it is textual format with a specific syntax. Okay, so அங்க I mean கோனா விகின் யூட்டிலைஸ் கலரை சாட் ஜிபிடி மனது அங்க விகினு language capabilities அத்த அங்க சாட் ஜிபிடிமோ diagram capability for example free tool ही or तला engineering diagram create करता capability नहीं मनताती we are tapping into the text part of it again saying that मोगावी diagram विगिन इला mermaid format दी diagram संगुतरे. Okay, then there are editors to render this textual information into diagrams. Yellow one and I can show you another tool which I have locally installed also. Another free tool, draw.io on the tools which I normally use for various drawing things. Tool cloud based browser use karwai, locally install karwai. அதை எல்லாமா மேபி ஐ யூஸ் பண்ண முன்னாடி ஐ திங்க் இட் கம்ஸ் சம்வேர் ஹியர் இன்சர்ட் அட்வான்ஸ்ட் எல்லாமா மற்ற மெர்மைட் ஃபார்மேட் ಹೇಳಿ I can just put that mermaid format here, then it becomes my local solution for generating that diagram. Okay, zoom kara avaytungo. Same object sequence diagram is here. Sorry, zoom here. So same OST as I have brought it in my local tool also. I mean, there are various editor available. You can make use of it. For example, दूसरा कहीं उन्हें format maybe you can try. Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, fine. So, I want to example so far say it's a plain design of one module. Okay, imagine now I'm going to design an application. Okay, so I want to do a design or rather architectural design for my entire application. Telamari scenario, how it can be helpful. We can see one more example. I'll create a start new one. Okay, so again parallel on the window moving prompt ready I will just go ahead and paste it. Okay, so I'm planning to build a web application for student management system. A specific features mainly this will be used for handling admission, student onboarding, attendance, leave management, all these things I would require. I am setting a role for my LLM saying that you are an expert in software architecture. Again, same rule. Code I want to see only the concepts and discuss. Common sense, many a place when we are thinking larger concept, when we are thinking about a schema, code becomes a hindrance. If you start discussing only code, you will be stuck with the code. We again say don't get into the code. Okay, only thing I have mentioned me comment Python based lab develop karan jari irsenga, otherwise me konni technology stack I have not really told about it. However, the siyasana ella it will start suggesting kai tumi use kirwa manate. Okay, so core modules kollagala module tunga pajapadai ella application develop karatolu, they have been architectural layers. Since I'm having architecture pajam sange halti ella architectural layer kona hoy, presentation layer kaya, application layer kaya, data integration layers it is suggesting. So now you can see that it is gradually getting into those blocks and layers. Of course, diagram and GDNMA so far. I mean, previous example, same. Finally, I mean, we can ask in the mermaid format or whatever. Other conceptually, we layers can discuss. Okay, and other kai limitations away. Okay, the deployment of the area. Carry one by one, it has got into the high level architectural information about my application. Okay, so backend guys and girls is saying, it has database backup. Okay, so specific another question for saying, which web server? Django 3 kerwai, fast API and Django combination in kerwai, carry Nginx it is suggesting. Nginx is one of the web server. Okay, for reverse proxy Kona it is telling me how does it look, the flow Kona away. I mean, combination flow Kona away. Client re-Nginx avi tell Unicon or Unicorn carrying Sangiria, Django, fast API carrying that is going. And on the specific question again, prepare maybe. Would it be appropriate to use Unicon? Unicon one of the easy to start, like Python to me REST API create can, I think you might know what is REST API. REST API create can say fast API no framework satta. So tesangadi evi podugun Unicon cherry use karam. So it is acting as a web server with asynchronous feature, so which is not there in other frameworks, and moreover easy to start namari fellam. Okay, so that is what is Unicon. So now I am getting into a details of different choices. Okay, so would it be appropriate? Sasi pusle trade off use at some point we can even ask for a comparison. Okay, so Unicon is a good choice, excellent choice because of ASGI. Yella kona we use karna it is giving me some suggestion. Okay, so now it is already getting into some sort of summarizing. Okay, what I want to do is I want to see a comparison, because me having an architecture design I want to really make a comparison between two different choices and see. Okay, Flask based solution versus fast API in Unicon. Ella deedagavi comparison keride card keri sangare. Okay, so to me the siyasanadi, it is comparing in various aspects, meaning performance of suitability, asynchronous support. I mean, these are all technical things. What you can imagine or what you can relate is field. For example, to me on embedded system design or a database design. Similarly, you would have some choices to make. For example, to me, Postgres can the MS SQL if you want a comparison in a database design, it can really help. To me, in Sangwai, more criteria we compare the card so it can give me a comparison also. Okay, so for now, me the back end choice I have asked for a comparison, and it is giving me on various category and pointers. Async support karegi productivity corner high. Even it is talking about the learning curve. Okay, Flask corner high. Fast API plus Unicon it has a drawback, like typing and async subtlety learning curve steep and high. though it has performance and other things, there is a penalty you are going to see for your team's learning curve. And it is also giving me a heads up. So as an architect, for me, these are all the information which will be really helpful. Choice it is not only about the technical suitability, project suitability. Okay, so this is how it can help me to make a comparison, and finally it is giving its recommendation also. You can say architectural fit for your system. I mean, my system, how does it compare? I think DD, it is giving me a recommendation. Okay, and since we haven't spoken about front end, I'm going to ask about front end now. Tell me consideration for front end design in this context. Okay, design corner philosophies role based UI, responsive design. Then it is modern UI framework skills. Then it is coming to the choices of framework. Okay, React, Vue, Angular. So choice it is giving me why part of it, where it will help and how does it help me, or how does it suit. Then finally, how does it integrate with the backend also, because it is important to understand how easily this framework can integrate with the backend. So that is also coming in this comparison, or rather this explanation. Okay, and one more element I'm going to introduce. The I'm giving additional information saying that I'm planning to host it on-prem to start with. Later I'll go to cloud. முதல்ல me system develop करतो me our own server ಅಂತ ಹೋಲಂಜಾರಿಯ then I will go to cloud ಎಲ್ಲಗ specific and ಕಾರ್ಯ consider ಕೆನ್ನಯ infrastructure consideration it is bringing in. How would you plan your capacity, local network setup, all these things it is talking about on-prem which is on-premise hosting. Later it will give also about how will you get ready for future cloud migration. Okay, so back and forth. Element first we spoke about the back end and then choices, comparison, then front end. We have chosen about, we have discussed about the environment. Code host how do I plan to migrate? We have discussed. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is assume that I have gone back and forth multiple times and made some thought process, LM or conclusion. I will consider Dockerized environment, which will help me to think cloud from the beginning, and I will consider Postgre for database. Plus I will also say I will go with Fast API plus CVCon. Okay, so this is my choice. Along the document what I need in the document. In this architecture document, I want the schema, tech stack, and main interfaces and functionalities. Okay, so now it is going to prepare a document for me. Okay, so far we discussed choice, whatever choices we made, all put together. Now it is preparing a architecture document for student management system. Okay, so now you can see we started with the problem statement. Of course, on the idea, basic idea, develop ideas and start. Then throughout the thought process, we are coming across various choices, and also we are putting in place more constraints or more specific requirements, and finally we are bringing it more like a complete solution where my architecture document explain. Okay, functional block database kona schema kaigai table okay, and deployment security consideration it is to me professional environment on a architecture document high. So tell information it is giving based on what we have discussed and whatever choices we made. Your architecture phase, you are really getting it faster. Okay, so topic and study giri choice it is making it faster. Okay, is it 100% accurate? We don't know. Tellavigin to me further tellavigin validate kenna. Ata ellamamu diagram introduce kenna mana sense we can get the diagrams introduced like the mermaid format or some other format mavin or diagram ready irudhe we can even ask. Or imagine you have a let's say in your organization you have a full capability ChatGPT corporate license seminary. You can easily get let's say a architecture diagram or UML diagram or database design diagram. You can get it. Okay, so this is another example. I mean kai sanamala emnadi first on the module level design karathol kona AI help karadi amtigino. Like second example megina kai siri emna say overall application megin design karatha architecture levelum kona vigin nanga AI help karayi. We have seen. Okay, so we can see further examples in other topics also. Any specific question kongadikai question say design stage the use of AI, any specific point you want to highlight?
I just wanted to know. I'm quite surprised that it's able to do database design also. So can we also generate like the mermaid format for this?
Mermaid format, I mean database schema design kya?
Yeah.
Yeah, we can. Give me database schema design as kai diagram nan pachetunga.
Any diagrammatic format.
Anybody else? Somebody said database worker. Database design schema specific on diagram notions at any time antalla.
Entity relationship diagram, yeah. Telebasiriga.
Entity relation.
ERD.
Entity framework, yeah.
ERT manani hai.
ERD.
ERD in mermaid. Mermaid format percent. I hope it has generated completely. Yeah, now I can copy. This is what you are looking for. As now it has generated. I mean, I'm scroll more on it, but otherwise I can put it here to see. I don't know, the scroll bar doesn't appear. Center view. Okay, so this is what the data. I mean, different tables. The user table on course table on the student table. Whatever it had given as a database design for us. Like who table in ERD in prepare kari it has given. I mean, I'm not from database side, so ella notation for kaim in exactly kalana, but I think it has a meaning. Want some relation is there. You guys can validate.
That is.
Okay, so now the database design you can get it. Ada elaga me architectural gan satyavi block diagram we can get it. And later the next step to architecture ready the backend design karata mangitre third you are designing your modules and you are designing your interfaces manadi there also you can take the help of AI. Okay, any other question or point?
Question purani, but ella pura theory und amazing kind of ella stage pura ami course kadandiya ori aski manual nami one by one right from designing architecture diagrams implementation skit kile ori ata aski within few hours ready for him the adutha ami further where should we start focusing, what should be our role telamari thinking there is
I mean you are right 100% right. Tell us industry month what do you say, discussion or debate kan satanya. Are we going to be replaced by AI gitu, you know? I mean, in polished word people sanga no, but at core tellus, are we going to be replaced? But at the same time, to me, some industry leaders interviews and podcast, I guess, for example, you know, who is that? Microsoft Satya Nadella. So recently, I was hearing in one of his podcast also. His view is very clear. Then kind kona thinker rimnadi kolla level you to me AI to be generate karasi tega uncha sat value addition people karta mangatan. So we'll have to start thinking that aspect. Adadu maybe you know automation say mundri manual gan for example testing automation avutadadi, you know, testing execution became easy, but testing job has not disappeared. And similarly, now it is like, you know, a lot of things are going to be done or already being done by AI. I mean, the other layer we'll have to think. And more value-added task and job is what we'll have to consider. I mean, it's a debate, of course, in the industry.
Correct,
you're right.
Correct, Vishnu. See, so maybe, for example, we have to go beyond, we have to focus on use cases. For example, on the requirement, the anchor test case, I mean, on the 40% coverage, today requirement, I mean, charge GPT G test case entertainment, our main think. So, we have to go beyond AI thinking. First, I mean, A level thinker, I mean, we are not having that much capacity. Now we are talking, we should go beyond AI and focus on other areas. So third is on the kind of our some people can go beyond AI. So some people go.
Right.
People
I
fall
completely
below
agree
that.
with you. I mean, I completely agree with you. I mean, you know, ikedi on a calm and kella you know, now it's a question of minute. For example, a design kenna manedi manual gan nikerri, even if internet is given to me, I would have spent half a day. Right. So today, what we have done is in, let's say, 10 minutes or 20 minutes. Right. So this is actually a worrying factor for many people. But at the same time, you know, people who have this as a productivity tool in hand, they will have an edge. So that's the idea with which we want to really, I mean, first of all, we want to educate all our people.
Correct.
Right. So I mean, Singadi's living curry. They holy economy further improves kartam say, optimize kartam say many. I mean, further define kiri.
Yeah. But I would like to add one more point here.
Hello.
Sangwa.
Accurate solution but
आता आम्ही स्टुडंट्स गटात कोणा म्हणून सॉफ्टवेअर डिझाइन तने ERD ERP त्याला पूरा करेक्ट गन डिझाइन कर दीसी तेंगा आविगनो त्याला मम इन डेप्थ नॉलेज अबाई मनी मनारिया आता ಎಲ್ಲ पूरा ओडिया मनदी आता आम्ही कोणा रोबो स्टुडंट्स IT नॉलेज पीपल गा IT ಎಂಗ ಅವಿ नॉलेज ದೆ ಕಾನಿ ಮನರಿಗೆ ಬಿಸಿನೆಸ್ त्याला ಮಾದರಿ ಹೋಯಾ नहीं तेंगा आविगनो बिकुया अबरिया मादरी सता
Right. The aspect answer I don't know. Somebody was asking about how do I validate kirin. To me, manarataga answer terless. Adavadu yella the keri didiya saatagavin it is looking appealing. Is it accurate? I don't know. Atami on the flow movie yella kelle jidiya.
About accuracy or something like that. Because ಅಥವಾ me aviginno college ಕಮ್ಮಿ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ ಸ್ಟೂಡೆಂಟ್ಸ್ ಗಡ್ಡೆ ತಗೊಳ್ಳು ತೆಂಗ ಡೆಪ್ತ್ ನಾಲೆಜ್ ಪಜಮನದಿ ತೆನೋಸ್ಕನ್ ಕೆರ ತಗೊಳ್ಳು ಸ್ಥಳ ಮಾಂಸತೆ ಅತ ವೇರಿಯಬಲ್ಸ್ ಇಕ್ಕುಯ ಒಂಡ ಸೊಡೆ ಸ್ಕಿ ಸೊಡೆ ಇಕ್ಕುಯ ಕಳಾರಿಯ ತೆನು ಲಿಕ್ಕತ ಹರ್ಮಂ ನೆನ ಆತ ಮಿ ಕೋನ ಮೆನರಿಯಗಿ ತಲ ಮಾದ್ರಿ ಆತ ಎಲ್ಲ ರಿಯಸ್ ಮೆನದಿ ತೆಂಗ ತೆಲ್ಲಮಳಾರ ಹನನ ಆತ ಅತ್ತ ಮೋರಲೆಸ್ ಕಾಯಿ ಮೆನರಿ ಮೆನದಿ ಮ್ಯಾಥಮೆಟಿಕ್ಸ್ ನಾಲೆಜ್ ನಿಹಿ ಮೆಲ್ಲೆಸತ ಬೇಸಿಕ್ ಮ್ಯಾಥಮೆಟಿಕ್ಸ್ ನೀನು ಆತ ತನ್ನ ಪಾಡು ಪ್ರೋಗ್ರಾಮ್ ಲಿಕ್ಕತ ಹಾರ್ಮೋನ್ ಗೆ ತಿರಿಯಾಲ್ತಿ ಅತ್ತ ಅವ್ರ ಇಂಡಿಯನ್ಸ್ ಜುಕ್ಕುದನು ಲ್ಯಾಕ್ ಹೊರಿಯ ತೆಲ್ಲ ಹಾಲ್ತೀಸ್ ಮಂತ ಕಾನ್ಸೆಪ್ಟಮ್ ಅತ್ತ ರೋದಿಮ್ ದಡಿ ಜೋ ಹಸಿ ಒಮ್ಮಳ ತನ ವತಗೆರಿ ಇದೆಯ ತೆಲ್ಲ ಪತಿ ಡಿಸೈನ್ ಮೇಲೆ ಎಲ್ಲ ಮಾಮ್ ಪೂರಾ ಅವಿಗಿನೋ ಕೋಣ ಅವಿ ಸ್ಟೂಡೆಂಟ್ಸ್ ಗೋ ಎಲ್ಲ ಮಾಮ್ ಆಮಿ ಕಾಯ್ ತೆಂಗ ಗೈಡ್ ಕೆರತನ
Okay, more personal views on this. Ella mom aviginu fundamentals economy aviginu there is no other argument, and learning the concept there is no other argument. It is very clear. Other, for example, moga database design gerada kanana. I need to know the relation between two tables. Telapura aviginu I'll have to learn manatama aviginu. There is no shortcut. Okay, so only then I'm becoming knowledgeable. Ami kolla point of view ami thinker emnadi it can be productivity improvement. Other once other, for example, me aerospace field on a testing project kenna manadi me again starting point in every time I need not start from the scratch and start building one by one block. We already work less at the mokkalai, but at the same time I use the AI. For example, our of course our company may be allowed in he the tools for allowed in he, but provided if it is allowed, I will use it as a productivity tool. Me half a time karata work maybe 2 hours or 1 hour carry musudai. Telamari thinking it is not a replacement for knowledge. AI is AI, it's a machine. Okay, so that cannot be a replacement for my knowledge. It can only be a additional tool to help me. For example, more reviewer I can use it as a reviewer. More drafting the time while diagram for a draft the time it can help me to create the diagram. So telamari bits and pieces can we have to think like productivity tools. So that's what is my personal view. Like I don't mogavi konamna ella sathe halmi learn ganna sonamna ha ella sathe halpi. I mean later I mean lot of examples are there. Me and the example kai ready giri solrem we me on novel language sikanjari emna sanasya AI so we kona effective and sikpa emna tagamli I have example. So that can be useful for your students. Atmi college and professor can satta through students going AI kona utilize kanam sikratoro. You can get into that mode saying that to me as a professor to me again there is no replacement. To me basics there is no replacement. But AI can be a complement for their learning. So that's how we'll have to see.
Exactly. Yeah, more point of view really no. I mean, Sata we know for the first Mudla session only became Sangaya under the Sangaya. So A tool Mavino, there you ask ye perfect and rana, Halifax and Shetem Ninumine. So the land there we know 100% true gun hana. I mean, evaluate Kirata Aurea gas. I mean, evaluate Kirino, Kola component, Kola Mari place kana. Ask ye Aura had musate. So एनीवे बट 10:1 मारिस 10 பேர் काम कर रही है मुदला वीनो 10 பேர் काम कर रहा असमनदी आता ಒಂಟದನ काम करतम सही ಎಲ್ಲ AI टूल पुरा तोलिनो once अस्के इंटीग्रेट करतवलो अस्के करेक्ट वर्क फॉर अस्या ಅವರ ರಿಕ್ವೈರ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಅವಿನು ಕರೆಕ್ಟ್ ಸೇ ಆಗಿರಿನು ತೆಲ್ಲ ಕಾಂಟ್ಯಾಕ್ಟ್ ಸೇತ ಹನಕು ಸಮಿಸಿಲ್ಲ ಅಡಿಷನಲ್ ಯಸ್ ಲ್ಯಾಬ್.
Sure, thanks Santosh. Okay, so we'll move ahead. அடுத்து saying அதாவது டெஸ்டிங் குச்சி having few examples are there. There are new learning குச்சி examples are there. Show. Okay, so let's get into the testing. Sorry. Testing arena. Okay, how AI can help in software testing? Ada I mean KDC AI काय म्हणायचं saying AI कोण अभी अंग design करता architecture help करेंगे we saw some examples and concepts. Okay, testing हम कोण help करे same AI capability again and again I'm kollam rely kare म्हणायचं if you have observed not hinda session मोठं नाही मुदला session मध्ये काय ते मला job search मध्ये काय आम्ही काय tap करता try करत म्हणायची ಅದು Gen AI or AI overall गवी काय capabilities आएगी तेला मी हेडी bits and pieces को कौन use करना मनते हैं we are trying to see. Okay, so ಅದು अभी नंगा requirement understand करेगी design करता help करे मनदी तेले requirement understand करेगी it can design test cases also. Correct, yeah. So how it is able to use its natural language capability to understand the requirement and analyze the requirement. Same way it can help me to identify the test cases and scenario. Okay, another thing I am going to say test environment to suggest kare. Okay, so me try say test environment side it is not very versatile adavadu तुम्ही टेस्ट टूल मूसी ಎಲ್ಲ टूल यूज करवाएगी तेल टूल यूज करवाएगी मतलब तुम्हारे ले जैसे से it is not having enough information. Both Gemini है क्या OpenAI है क्या there is a lack. काम नहीं it is all pre-trained models. अगर train करा model में information है more of development and coding है तो train करता है. So testing या बत्ती हाना है. Maybe that is the reason but otherwise it is able to do a very good job in test case identification. Okay, so it can have, I mean, it can play a reviewer role. So review करतंगली one example नहीं देखो कोना विगिन on the code मी देश नसे तेला review करेगी नो, is it able to spot the error? मैं I'll give you a demo, have an example for that. So software में critical part का है code अभी fail होता chances रहता है मतलब it can identify. If you give a code base or even your design and interfaces, it can tell you there are critical part ಎಲ್ಲ area fail होता chance रहता मतलब it can identify. And debug करतोल already I mean previous session में से गिरिदा विगिन तला debug coding करतोल विगिन he also shown some examples for how it can help कोना विगिन debug करे मतलब चे विगिन we saw some examples. Nevertheless, we'll see some different kind of examples today, mainly in the area of testing. Okay, so same way I have prompts made available for a change. I will show in Gemini in the plus. Maybe if you have not used Gemini before, we can try that also. Okay, so I'm going to give a requirement text. There is no code, nothing. Okay, the requirement text DD, I'm going to ask some specific questions for it to work. Okay, so from the requirement text given below, I want you to help me identify inputs and outputs in the. Okay, now I'll paste the requirement text. Okay, it is more, let's say, some embedded related Maloga, just to have a different variety. We have spoken a lot about database. Let's take some embedded. Okay, data loading command receive hori on the module. We don't know which module what it is. Just 4-line requirements are there, very specific. TFTP on the file transfer protocol. Okay, so telama command receive hotel if it cannot be handled to the sufficient channel needed the requirements. I'm giving this requirement. What I have asked is identify inputs and output in Sangiri first to me. Okay, first prompt I want you to identify input and output from this requirement text. It is Sangiri. Data loading commands and number of channels is Sangiri. Okay. Another additional prompt I will give. From the demands received from various targets, can it not be identified as number of targets? Very additional cross question consider. This is a great clarification. Okay. Okay, so now what I want to do is, from the list of inputs, tell me what are the test scenarios I would create to fully test this functionality. This is exactly somebody was asking. I don't know, it was Ramlal or somebody. Test case design karte karaya. Yes, it was able to do. Okay, so I'm going to test scenario identify kartanga. Adavadu me kai mintana full ka nella test nella requirement. I mean their requirement avi full ka test karta kai scenario paja kora irupusiri. Okay, so if you see, it is really getting into various flow. Okay, fewer commands that allow sufficient channel high commands unna high. Both equal number of channels and commands. Insufficient channel mari area. They have multiple batches kan area. Kana in progress and hakal kaigan namatauchi and sangiria requirement. Okay, varying excess number of command degri sangaria. Commands for the same target exceeding channel. Zero availability of TFTP channel. It has really given me in various scenarios. Okay, so what I will now say is, give me the test cases as a table, input and expected output. So it is preparing test case table for me. Okay, so now it has really identified ikke test case paja elaga wigin kai input value mitana teliyadu kai expected output tana. For example, ela wigin generic and number of data commands LV input in the area, fewer command area, expected output. We can even drill down. Maybe in further examples we can see, we can even drill down to say my exact number choose kiri sangibli puswai. Of course, it will get into that zone of I mean, are we relying completely on AI manata zone ಅದು ಟೆಸ್ಟ್ ಕೇಸು ಡಿಸೈನ್ ಇರೋದಿಲ್ಲ ಸಿನಾರಿಯೋ ಐಡೆಂಟಿಫೈ ಗೆತ್ತಿಗಿನ್ನು ನಾವು ಐ ಆಮ್ ಶ್ಯೂರ್ ದಟ್ ಎಲ್ಲ ಟೆಸ್ಟ್ ಕೇಸ್ ಪುರಂ ಕೆರೆದಿ ಮೈ ಮಾಡ್ಯೂಲ್ ಆರ್ ಮೈ ರೆಕ್ವೈರ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ವಿಲ್ ಬಿ thoroughly tested ಕೆರೆಗಿನ್ ಮೋಂಡ ಕಾನ್ಫಿಡೆನ್ಸ್ ಆಗಿ whereas ಅದು ಫರ್ದರ್ ಅವಿಗಿನು to number milli sangi 5 channels available 6 commands ಕೆರೆಗಿನ್ ನಂಬರ್ ಲಂಗು to choose ಕೆರೆ ಸಂಗಿನ ತೆಲ್ಲ ಸಂಗೈ then we will become redundant. Okay, so that is where we'll have to really see how much to use it. Okay, if it is really used that way, it will do. Okay, so this is one example of what I had is just one few line requirement. Let's say some 4 line or 3 line requirement. Telakavigin analyze kerdigino. We have asked it to prepare a test case table. Okay, telaga expected output to make I expected namma telanga it can prepare and give it to us. Okay, so this is one example where the requirement we had given as a text. Okay, so I have one more example. Yelamam Kaimanadi.
Vishnu. Generic and sorry, okay, but domain specific and chat GPT sangi the aduthu requirement the oriented test case generic meaningful relevant kanai telakona domain specific and learn
domain specific manari pona manari me
for example banking telamari OTT telamari kaamkirare so the terminology pura kodungo requirements tenga vertical domain based ganna hai
sure I understand for example ata me evi aerospace satalti evi tella me try kerras actually for example evi aerospace in there is a specific standard and guideline which we'll have to follow it tella standard portu to evi test case prepare keride amna keride idalla. Similarly, maybe we can try it. Maybe in Kai specific and try we can try it out. Kai standard money to me. I have some.
For example, the Netflix guy video Amazon Prime front end guy. The view Netflix first profile select the movies recommendation to TV shows so navigate so front end tell us
can you help me to identify the scenario for UI design basically UI design of a OTT platform
correct
okay so high level அதாவது பொதுவன் prompting I have some slides for prompting also prompting போன மனது to me having one go equal information that tomorrow stages can delay JSON is a better output you will get it everything put together to uchi to me save me the prompt prepare geri solrenu kona samanya narrow down ke le jau I mean in reality that's how I use it also edatholoing overall information the gradual one so for example start getting, then we can say, okay, now here is my design getting absolutely can definitely help in brainstorm what kind of content. So, in fact, to me, I started asking question because I started in a very generic way. Kai content offer let's say it offers movie selection. So navigation and information architecture. It is going in architecture, rather we wanted a design. So we'll have to stop it some place saying that, for example, you want architecture or design flow document ready in Simon Loga. There are document DD, LS, design, other to test case you can ask.
Okay.
Right, so that is one way. Other one is, on the example, of course, UI design what I have is, I have this flow chart. Okay, so it's net to download flowchart so it is a simple software design of a vacuum cleaner cleaning robot. Okay, so power on garage route identify it is going and cleaning route clean giri mujjasanasya off ketting return to the dock and power off neemanasya battery low manasya vacuum off kelli power off kenna vacuum full irimnad another branch so illa on basic design set ella theviginu test case kerni sanvayame that it will be able to do. Okay, so I will get that also. Maybe here itself I'll try. Just for your information, ChatGPT does much better job than Gemini. Okay, because the Somlandri available, but Gemini also does a decent job. So that's why I'm showing some examples in Gemini also. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'll give you a design of a software module. I want you to analyze, identify input, output, and function. Repeatedly, me kavu chella sangare manadi. Yella step skip ketti direct and test case identify kerare somoro. First yella input, output, and logic identify care menti teha test case identify care nare tamamu there is a better result. What I have tried. Okay, so now it says I'm ready giri sangiri yatanda. Chart. File type unsupported. Okay, image can upload case. Okay, so just the file can upload kitare and be mindful tungavi free version madigi number of files it can handle telagapura limit hai adu ond dinike file michiti when upload karana agiripura limit avai so illa just demo haltini in declare but if you are planning to use full fledged method to maybe premium khalna apply. Okay, so adu ella thevi identify gere input kaya output kaya getting identify kitare. Okay, so start signal, power on signal, telapura wigin input, output wigin generated map and location, planned route, telapura functional logic it has identified. Okay, so this is the first step I'm asking it to do. Okay, and then I will ask for the test cases. Tell me the test scenario and cases for testing it completely. Okay, same logic, like first test case, test scenario identify karariya. Scenario identify karariya more of conceptual can explain the ledger. Successful cleaning cycle, full cycle. That the diagram on the everything goes well, and finally I complete my job. Nominal scenario. Branch what we have given is just a JPEG file, which is having a flowchart. Okay, now it is able to identify different test scenarios for me, and it has even identified test cases. Okay, so same way I can say give me test cases, input, expected output in table. Okay, so what test scenario? Successful cycle, nominal scenario, route following accuracy patti unta, obstacle avoidance, it has assumed various input. This is exactly what we'll have to be clear. For example, the input identifier sangatolusi, some inputs are not correctly an input. It is an assumption. I'm clarifying it. I'm actually just we went ahead and say, okay, give me the test case. Follow the route route finished route manatamotumu sanga begin inputs at the route correct follow accuracy giving input in here logic. Okay, so it has assumed that that logic also, that input is also available. Based on that, it has prepared these many test cases. I mean, yellow stage musi yellow pura input agree. I mean, clarify it would have identified only the required number of test cases. Okay.
Okay, Vishnu. See, from the scratch on the product developed, maybe from the requirement design point of view, architecture point of view, or the test case point of view, Sangi and color we fine. This is very much good. But more expectation already existing product already said so many releases been done. It's in live. So, Tellaga Madhim the additional new requirement over here టెస్టింగ్ అవరియో సో తెల్లగా అవి ప్రోడక్ట్ నాలెడ్జ్ అవి ఎలాగో పుంజాడతారు తెవలన అవి రెలవెంట్
అదావదు I understand your question. I think तुम्ही पुसिवदे म्हणलारे ह्या उंटाल testing again AI use करणारे okay
yes
maybe further we can connect and discuss ella we
sure,
know
sure.
the point to answer your question two parts any testing okay now the code based desnuloga plain I have written a code without anything head or tail on a code liki to rahan dieti ni tumiliki model dieti mille you know we will be trying to interpret the code of what it should do, and then we'll start designing test cases. In testing methodology or testing philosophy, that is not considered as a valid one because I mean, testing against the code only. Okay, so how me code harmangiru amanedi the module or the software or a piece of code or function what it's supposed to do manatagavi on a reference point project. The reference point of view, it can be a design, it can be a requirement, or it can be a documentation in the code. Teller that will be my reference for designing the test cases. Now coming back to your scenario, the existing software you want a new module add karadi, new feature add karadi. Tell a feature you will have clearly some expected behavior documented somewhere or made as a diagram or whatever, and also you will have a identified interfaces. Tell the information really, it can do the job. If that information is not there, it cannot do the job.
Sure.
Okay, so tell on that. Second point time nadi ella precise kan tumi ella mari begin keradatak satagai ella one go I mean see how we are seeing is at the ChatGPT Gemini chatbot kanu sari. Okay, if you can create a workflow around it, it can really do the job. I mean, there are some of my friends, sila company they are internally developing a product to improve their testing projects productivity. Genai is a very agentic system for develop yes. So when we get into the agentic framework, to me having chatbot can think you can even think like a workflow. Otherwise, me having set of requirement area or this is my design on a database reading, తెల్లగా పూరా ఎగ్జిస్టింగ్ గా పూరా టెస్ట్ కేస్ రెడీ करता బ్లాక్ బై బ్లాక్ అని పిలిచి హెడతగవిగిను we can even design a workflow that is possible. So to answer your question in another perspective time navi I mean the academic interest in simple example khalli me demo declare just to show the capability, but if you want to really build as a system, chatbot is not the way. It needs to be as a system using some framework. Telaga we can of course next session I'm introduce kirvesi kai framework kona wigin agentic framework pro use kannam further if you want to specifically discuss you can connect with us, we can discuss in detail.
Okay, thanks.
Okay, so anybody any other question so far? The example series I think time is running quickly. I have two more examples for testing. Learning, prompt, we need time. Anybody question? Otherwise, I'll maybe skip one of the examples. Okay, fine. Back to this. Just to give it a different flavor. The requirement text we design flowchart we designed a test case. In fact, I wanted to ask one more question which I didn't ask. Anyway, so further to me try is later. All this prompt set file, the sample file, I'm share with you. So you can try it at your end at leisure also. See, more software movie with reference to my design. If I do a wrong coding in this area, which of your test case will identify and say it can answer. Tell me one example case. ಅದು ಎಲ್ಲ ಚೆಕ್ ಬದಲು ಎಲ್ಲ ಚೆಕ್ ತಪ್ಪು ಅಂತ ಸಮಸ್ಯೆ to Sangiria 20 test cases kolla identify ಸಮಸ್ಯೆ it can answer. That means it has already thought about the coverage also. Okay, so this is one way. Counter time nadi I will sorry, somebody has a question.
Sorry.
I have some small Python code. Test case design. I have another C code also. Maybe I will directly go to the C code example so that we'll have time for other things also. C code basically there are two functions. Okay, so some logic, some temperature sensor we can read logic it is implemented. Okay, I have forcefully injected a error in this. Okay, so I'll show you whether it is able to find out or not. Okay, so what I'm going to do is code along error say okay, so to code say you will be able to relate just to see code corresponding documentation motives. There is nothing more in this. Okay, I'll do that. I'll give you a C code. I want you to analyze and identify if there are any functional error, are there any improvement possibility. The aspect me arranged. Okay, so now I will attach that C code. C code for test. C code see. I mean, if file attachment allow anyway, you can copy and paste the C code also. Functional error, bug in alert condition. Exactly the point of view it has identified. If you come here and see what I have done is threshold compare temperature is again above the critical threshold on the check there is a error logging another check for different threshold warning threshold I wanted to do another error logging by the same constant in use okay, actually there is a different constant which I should have used. The value is different. Okay, so here instead I have used the same constant. So this is the functional error in my code. Okay, so if you see the point exact can identify this is the functional error in your code. Okay, then I have asked about improvement possibility. Improve now it has gone into the further thread safe concurrency the first of all, concurrency but it has assumed that if you have thought about concurrency, it is not thread safe. Then buffer use circular buffer use so it can go on like it is suggesting various improvement in terms of what we can do differently. Okay, so I will ask us another specific question. The suggestion I'm just asking maintainability point of view, do you think there is a concern? Maybe monolithic and kerrasi, hard-coded thresholds, input can configurable in khalwai. It is saying global variables. I mean, typically your C programming or embedded programming guideline point of view, maintainability aspect and hard-coded values. Again, my question was generic. Maintainability in generic and sangidri. Even if I pinpoint to one aspect, then it can help me further. So now I'm saying test case identify now AI is performing a code review on my code base. File. Similarly, we can give how many other files you want. You can give the code and you can ask the same set of questions and get it reviewed. For example, functional error say maintainability issues say improvement possibility you can get your code reviews also done. So verification testing one aspect, review another aspect. So review use testing use now imagine the test framework already say on the automated test framework if you have some AI based solution to generate the test cases which you have developed and you are confident in the test cases automation framework your testing is ready, then it is only a machine time. You can get to that level also. Of course, it is easier said than done, there will be a lot of hiccup. To me, tela konadala maturity anatha manata, it's a system development basically. Clear so far? Any other point? Testing them, then we'll move on to the next topic. Testing them, any point raise and go, otherwise we'll move ahead to the next one.
Yes.
So, Vishnu, automation काय करता मुसैया? For example, मी test case DD automation करता मुसैया.
Automation அதாவது the aspect test, pure test automation mana say AI is not required. For example, there is a framework called robot framework. Robot framework something. So Python based framework, additional layer is added which is called robot framework. That is purely a test automation framework. So it can be used, we embedded use or aerospace use karasi. Similarly, it can be used for any industry. To me, again, test case organize carry, script can carry, it can do the automation. It can generate report, very nice reports it can generate. So pure automation AI padikonna. AI code where you are expecting some reasoning ability. For example, test case identify it is not just automation kind of work, it is a reasoning. So there AI is required. Okay, pure automation is a different topic. There are framework. AI enabled automation framework sir. We test use for example, N8N framework sir. You can explore and see. So workflow automation use various interfaces. For example, with a mailbox, on a Google Sheet in between LLM on a flow create those kind of automation, there are framework. N8 on the open source frameworks. There are paid ones also. Test automation, you can explore robot framework. Okay, any other point on testing? Okay, so let's move ahead. Testing, what I thought is learning a new language or technology. Of course, it's a topic what we are wondering how it can be improved or what is a concern, but nevertheless, on the novel language, here's a novel technology tool, how we can utilize AI. It's a concept by itself. We can see that. Okay, so first of all, usual way learn in technology space, it's not a generic science or mathematics. The technology space, currently on a novel language, the technology learn. Your thoughts? Anybody? To me, on a novel language, where do you start?
Books. book read out kari practice kara.
Sure. Book is one way.
Yeah. YouTube.
Udemy ಮಾತ್ರಿ ಕೋಟಿ ಒಂದೆರಡು ಜಾಯಿನ್ ಕೆಲ್ಲಿನು ಅವಿ ಸಿಕ್ಕುವಾಯಿ. Udemy ನಮ್ಮ ಆನ್ಲೈನ್ ಕೋರ್ಸಸ್ ಜಿಪಿಎಸ್ ಅಂತ ಎಲ್ಲಮಾಂ ಸಿಕ್ಕುವಾಯಿ. ನಿಮೆ ಯೂಟ್ಯೂಬ್ ಸಿಕ್ಕುವಾಯಿ. ಜಿಗುದಮ ಪೋಸ್ಟ್ ತವರಾಸ್ ಎಲ್ಲ 12 hours 10 hours ಎಲ್ಲ ಸಿಕ್ಕುವಾಯಿ ಮನ ಮಾರಿ ತವರಾಸ್ ಎಲ್ಲಮಾಂ ಸಿಕ್ಕುವಾಯಿ.
Exactly. There are some well-defined ways. To me, Udemy can provide YouTube can provide a book can provide. So they are well-defined way. So in general, say on a training attend predefined curriculum. So on a training attend online tutorial. For example, Python online tutorial. So on the concept explain there will be some simple example you can try. So online tutorials you can take it. Or on a project solution will carry parallelly you will learn. Okay, or otherwise if you are stuck with some problem, blogs and online material like Stack Overflow use carrying. This is the usual way where how we learn a new language or new technology. Okay, so the AI we a different than it is important to understand. Like how I was mentioning some time back, Professor Madam Sangesonagi, it is complementary. It is not a replacement. We mind and clear AI we learn consider it as a complementary. Okay. Basics first of all, sangai basics if there is an error, you don't know. So database concept kalarani, design kalarani, then it is not going to help. If you know the basics, then it can make it faster. It can make it better learning experience. We think it's a complementary. Okay, utilize AI as your personal tutor. Okay, I mean personally me elamari saving Juhu concept learn kar rasi, Juhu framework saving me learn kar rasi in the recent past with the help of AI. Personal tutor madri melna. Kauchi manadi opodanga ko unique style right learning. That is the biggest advantage. Ata me college chodare, school chodare, even Udemy courses and predefined curriculum. The trainer what he or she thinks best suitable for learning then prepare katran. I mean the example prepare kare what I felt it is best suitable for people learning. Organize it. But that is partly true, partly false. Suitable here exactly AI can help. Couch more personal choice on a basic concept I learn better if I am asking more and more question and getting an answer than fixed curriculum. That's my style of learning. So use case easy in your play. Question first approach me easy in your play. Fixed curriculum in your play. So you can set your tutor based on your style. Okay, practical gun. On a try area, on a learn area, immediate can apply giri savai. Okay, and another major important point is this one. Okay, AI you can consider as a tutor or assistant with a tremendous time and patience, which definitely will not be there with human tutor. I'm not saying human tutor better get something kartana. On a question charwal pusakani badilavai. Whereas other human being pusa question of the word mojo pusasnase begin in the time he went to. Whereas AI is a machine. To me, your question. Okay, so you can learn and test in parallel. Okay, so this is how the AI way of learning is different. Okay, what a quick example they could see, so that we will be able to relate what I'm saying. Again, another set of prompts. Learning a new language. I'm giving an objective, learning objective or expectation, saying that I'm a software developer with programming skills in C, C++. Complex software modules for industrial systems. I'm giving an objective saying that I'm planning to learn Golang. I think you would have heard Go language. Okay, so which I might require in one of the project. Can you help? Sorry. So this is like typical. I start with a particular basic prompting. Okay, then it is telling me to me again kai pati color no horiya. To best assist you, could you tell whether you are trying to learn about the resources or set environment setup kai. Okay, so then I am getting into a specific topic. I want to understand the difference in usage context of this versus C or C++. Kamnadi me sangiri gainu mo C chokot kalayam sangiria. Now it is going to tell me in comparison to C how different is Golang. It is able to explain. Operating system ri hamangiri the language constructs ASCII sangile colled use carrier, game development, high performance computing it has spoken about various application and elements about C, C++. Then it is also now telling about the Go language. In comparison, code Golang use for how it is different. Cloud native. It is used for web development and APIs, networking. It is giving me a comparison. I wanted a comparison because this is how I'm going to learn. So it has given me a comparison. Okay, so I can ask like which industry Go is widely used. Technology and software development. web development, DevOps, database. It is giving a lot of industry where it is widely used. Next tricky point or my specific question, I'm getting it saying that me Harmom Sangiriya me industrial system काम कर रहे हैं Sangiriya. So now I'm asking, can I use Golang for industrial system? Since I'm planning to integrate industrial system in a cloud infra, I'm thinking it can be uniform all across. So yeah, to me काय observe करवाई मैंने समस्या imagine if you have a personal tutor, okay, so you can go on and ask. Okay, so I think it has hit some limit, something went wrong here. We'll see. So it is like personal tutor here, we ask some question or we make some comparison and then we clarity we are taking it. Two things what you'll have to remember here is 100% correct because here itself you can see visibly you can see the disclaimer. Gemini can make mistake, double. Okay, so this is something what we'll have to keep in mind. How do I overcome? For example, the computing basics on the language on the specific errors computing basics suit doubt away. It triggers a doubt in me. Okay, correct. Otherwise, most when we learn try what I normally do is similar comparison or similar point, I will parallelly run one more chat in ChatGPT. Okay, so Gemini, ChatGPT, GA in parallel silavu. Of course, you have to spend time. Anyway, you are learning, you are spending time. Okay, so the comparison you can make out something is correct, something is not correct. You can make out. Okay, so this is one point what we'll have to keep in mind is we don't have a reference. And the productivity improve is a different story. We don't know whether it is correct or not. That you'll have to be clear and you'll have to be mindful about it. And second thing I am going to say, question now we can even make it to make a lesson for you. For example, you fixed curriculum learning plan ready. Okay. I have more prompts. I think later to me try the files for a share one day try because it's taking time. Can you give me a comparison between C, C++, Go in terms of construct, usage, unique feature, pitfalls? Because finally, this is what I'm interested, and I'm also giving additional task saying that comparison table that can use in my article. So now it can really make that kind of a comparison and give it to me. Just one objective is for me to learn. The other one is I'm saying we want an article learning which you want article prepare karre tam use karna ho raha hai. It is able to give. Okay, so it is similar like the tech stack knowledge and the comparison reasoning knowledge all put together we are utilizing for our learning of a language. Okay, so for example I can ask give me a learning plan for this. Now it can prepare a curriculum for you. Of course, timeline sometimes vague and I 1 to 2 weeks but nevertheless it can make a plan for you what sequence concept concepts it can make a plan and give it to you. If you are a person who better learn in fixed curriculum, you can make use of it also. Question it is easier to question questions answer. Okay, so this is how AI can be used to learn a new language also. Methodically, if you can utilize it, it can be really helpful. Okay, so apart from that, I had one more example for learning a new concept. Docker use app develop cloud host Docker use I had another example, but lack of time, maybe we can cut short that. When the file is with you, you can try with the same prompt. Any specific question or any point you would like to highlight? Okay, fine. So then I'll move on to the next one. Learning a new language is what we have seen. Okay, so apart from that, another repeated request angavin jukudan pusegana prompt engineering na kaya gitigin pusaya. So I have included few slides, basic information about the introduction. It is not a detailed one because that itself can be a session. One of our a WhatsApp group member, he had proposed the Naveen on session conduct. We will check the feasibility and we can organize that also. Okay, so for now I'll just give a introduction. Okay, what is it? First of all, prompt engineering prompt engineering field or rather there are a lot of specific job opportunities also in prompt engineering. It is not very complex as such. Okay, so LLM widespread available LLM in general any generative AI everything requires a prompt. Yeah? So when it became prevalent, this topic came up saying that prompt engineering, it is nothing but a techniques to craft input. LLM starting point of prompt. So telaga pajahoria prompt kona mi craft kirigino anga pajori output correct khalna. Tela techniques prompt engineering in general. Okay, so you will have to fine tune or you'll have to write your prompt on a particular way to the pajori mari output abbai. Tele logical. Okay, so couch idella kennamana sense relevance and format and accuracy, all these things. For example, some examples quickly with the techniques kona how it makes a difference we can see. Okay, so tunga relevant information LLM jolti pajahori and him accurate pajahori, consistent pajahori when you focus on the way how you prompt, you will get a consistent output. Otherwise, it will become random and creative every time. You will get different output every time. Okay, so it is not about just the question. We will have to give additional information also. Okay, so I think Sasi or somebody mentioned program karage marigiri. Yes, prompt is a natural language equivalent of programming. The Python programming, C programming, it has its own syntax or way of writing. Natural language. So it is still natural language, but it is a equivalent to programming in case of Gen AI usage. Okay, so further, if you are going to build agentic AI or advanced methodology, prompt engineering becomes a basic. Okay, so how is it done? Structured and prompt theory. Basically, in a nutshell, this is what it is. Prompt engineering is giving your prompts in a structured way. Okay, so tunga pajawari information mottum pusnatagavino, there are additional information delay jana. For example, the test case pusanjari, first input, output, and logic identify so that it has a clarity about that. Then I will ask, okay, now give me the test cases. So tella madri to me task kaya, question kaya, additional information delay jana. Okay, so that's where it is more of, how do you say, art of questioning art of prompting. So that's why they say it is a combination of science and art. Okay, so that will help us to move from casual prompting to systematic and reliable output area. We can take it. Okay, so there are different techniques. So instruction prompting, instruction prompting in a sense, giving a clear direct instruction to the model to achieve a specific task. This is called instruction prompting. Chain of thought, something you feel it is complex, you can ask the LLM to reason out in step by step, then give me the final answer. You will get a better output. And what you will have to be also aware is At the recent our model, for example, DeepSeek R1 OpenAI O1 model, and later O3 and all has come. So they are all having it has its own reasoning ability. The model itself is having reasoning ability. Okay. So when we are talking about chain of thought prompting, it is kind of getting the non-reasoning model also to get reason. By nature, there is a reasoning ability. Use step by step. But at the same time, chain can create output better than our method. Even non-reasoning model, we can make it to reason out. Okay, few shot prompting. Few shot prompting in general, few shot few examples. Descriptive we give some examples. Examples answers output format JSON and HTML we can ask because it is all about language processing only. When it can code, it can do the formatting also. So tell the ability use can do. Okay, so we'll see some examples so that it will be clear. Some quick examples I have prepared for this. The instruction prompting, I'll open a new one. Okay, for example, I'm just going to ask one plain question. What is AI group? Sorry. Okay, so AI is this and this. I'll explain. Okay, so there is no specific instruction. I just asked a plain question. Whereas, what I'm going to do now is, I'm giving a specific instruction to it. Explain the topic to a school student more than technical concepts, focus on the usage and example. Then I'm giving a topic. What is AI? Same topic, additional instruction. Okay, so here, if you see to me, technical gun explaining modem jerry, other narrow AI kaya, general AI kaya, super intelligent AI kaya, learning and reasoning processor. Whereas I specific school student to explain carry concepts and example tholi carry. Example tholi care than concepts kiri sangitri. So now you can see there is a different way of answer itself. Okay, so it is more focusing on everyday examples. What do we use for everything, so that it is easier for somebody like some school student to relate easily. Okay, how is it like a brain? Interesting terms for us we explain. Why is it useful? Cool fact. So this is called instruction prompting. Same information or same question area, but I have given an additional information, additional instruction rather. Okay, so this is one way of prompting. Okay, so I'll prefer this solution. Then chain of thought. Okay, so what I'm going to do is another prompt. Simple I'm going to use. I have some data in Word document. I want to make it into HTML page. Okay, so great. It will start explaining what needs to be done. Tell me the procedure. Tell me the procedure. Upload the Word document. Tell me the procedure. Okay, so options that now it is giving me some examples and all these things. Online converter use karwaegi, the editor use karwaegi. Now what I'm going to ask is, I will rephrase or give the prompt in a different way. I'm going to give me an answer after thinking through the steps and considering various scenarios. After that, give me the final answer. Same topic. Organize the thoughts organize goal me achieve first I'm going to understand the possibilities, then final answer it is giving me an answer. So we will find better clarity if we have this kind of prompting also. Okay, so it would have covered different scenarios, like mom test case preparations, yes or no, gradually and delay it is able to identify various scenario and then give me an answer here. Similarly, here it is able to identify various scenarios, then give me the solution. Okay, so this is another way of prompting. Like first what we saw is instruction prompting, ella aviginu chain of thought. I mean, the step by step can think ella is sangiri. One more I'll show is few shot. Okay, few shot na kaam nadi, for example adu ella mari imagine karo. ಎಲ್ಲಮಿ ಎಕ್ಸಾಂಪಲ್ ದೇರಿ ಲ್ಯಾಂಗ್ವೇಜ್ ಸಿ ಅಪ್ಲಿಕೇಶನ್ ಹೈ ಪರ್ಫಾರ್ಮೆನ್ಸ್ ಅಪ್ಲಿಕೇಶನ್ C++ ಆಬ್ಜೆಕ್ಟ್ ಓರಿಯೆಂಟೆಡ್ ಪುಸ್ತಿಗಿನ அடுத்து ಇದಾಗ ಅವಿ ಎಂಟಿ ಅನ್ಸುಟ್ರಿ ಜಾವಾ ಅಪ್ಲಿಕೇಶನ್ ಎಂಟಿ ಪೈಥಾನ್ ಎಂಟಿ ಇರಿಸುಟ್ರಿ ವಾಟ್ ಐ ಆಮ್ basically doing is I'm giving an example saying that on the language kulla the application kaayam to samuna githigno the example didi aduthu I'm prompting saying that to remaining the fill geride age. So it has filled. Right, so it has given me the completion of that prompt saying that application enterprise application Python is scripting data science pro use karano. Okay, so same thing yata ami ella few shots kirriya I can even get into output formatting also. For example, what I will do is I will say add ada golang to the list, then give me the details in HTML format as a table to indicate the language application origin year and learning curve. ಎಲ್ಲ ಪೂರ ಮುಚ್ಚಿಂಗ್ ಕಂಪೇರ್ ಕೇಳಿದ ಕಾಡಿ ಅದಾவது HTML ಫಾರ್ಮೆಟ್ ಅಂತಿದೆ so that I can use it somewhere. So now it has formulated. So ಎಲ್ಲ ಪ್ರಾಂಪ್ಟಿಂಗ್ ಕಾಯಮನ ಸಮಸ್ಯೆ I am instructing to give output in a particular format. ಎಲ್ಲ ಕೇಸ್ ಈ HTML ಗಿನ ಏರಿಯಾ you can very well ask CSV ಗಂದ JSON ಗಂದ ಆಗಿರ್ಸಂಗ ಎಲ್ಲ ಫಾರ್ಮೆಟ್ ಅಂದೆಲ್ಲ ರೆಡಿ ಇರಿದಿದೆ. Okay, so this is another technique like तुमको prompting particularly मी इमाम एजेंट के पूरा करते हैं एडवांस करते हैं you know the structured output format भी जो यूज करें सामने समस्या the interpretation by LLM is better if you use structured information. It will be grounded than just floating here and there. Okay, so these are the few techniques quickly about the prompting techniques basically. So this is what I had to give an introduction about prompt engineering. We'll let you know if there is a dedicated session feasible. We'll let you know. Okay, so that's it from the slides and examples. Any particular thought? Any question?
ವಿಷ್ಣು ಮೋಡೆ ಒಂದು ಬೇಸಿಕ್ ಕ್ವಶನ್ आता चैट जीपीटी जेमिनी पे हम यूज कर रहे हैं ना इला ऑफिस लैपटॉप हम यूज करवाइया तले डिपेंडिंग ऑन द डेटा प्रोटेक्शन चेक कितने हम यूज करने की ना सब यूज करवाइया
तले हम तले हम डिस्कस कर ले वो सेशन हरमंगर तुलसी official purpose use करते हुए you know it is purely driven by your organization data security policy.
Okay, so organization अभी यूज कराना मैं यूज कराना
still organization at the they have their dedicated LLM inference. For example, Azure dedicated cloud employee license run chat GPT or some OpenAI solution so that will be safe to use. Whereas generic sila company sensitive in data security sensitive companies allow explicit block so office purpose use it is depending on your company data security policy.
Okay,
another point about corporate use which is Copilot is GitHub Copilot. It is licensed and they have a contract between corporations. They will have contract data security which is so which is if company allows you, you can use GitHub Copilot, which is AI driven.
Yeah, so they will have dedicated kind of usage and the contract high so that the company is sure that data is secured.
Correct, data secured. And Telemaritana, they will also take an extra measure to be data to be. For example, GitHub use query. I'm checking some information. Let's say, for example, I have a token. They will reject it. It won't even allow you to check in. So, Sunny, they have extra measure to protect the company confidential data. So, it is recommended to use GitHub Copilot for security reasons.
Okay da. Actually GitHub Copilot avi license tira so ata Vishnu sigaya chila chat GPT Gemini keri saname so mor personal laptop me use karna office laptop me use karana as per data protection law anga avi tala use karana mi sagiriya te jis avi puslariya so then strictly we use karana tinga kalaya in case use kerimli.
Exactly. The GitHub Copilot, it is restricted only for coding task. Whereas the generic and ChatGPT and other things use kartol, it will give the flexibility of design, architecture, testing, aske karwai. But if it is not allowed by your company, it is not allowed.
Okay.
So personal laptop, generalized query. For example, I need not put my company data. I did not put my exactly application data. Generalized query, I can ask question. I'm designing a database instead of giving the access to my database. That way it can be done. So, the questions here.
On the question, GitHub Copilot berdeka. Usually kan GitHub malah kami our code pura store करवे. Lam Copilot kai.
Okay, अदावदु GitHub Copilot last time get demo the kadaya. I'll quickly show. At GitHub Copilot madikana GitHub umri diria on AI engine loga. So you'll have to register and get your login. The VS Code you can integrate with an extension. Okay, so what it does is basically at the more screens say Copilot outri. Okay, so this will help me to, for example, say chat or other me tanigan chat GPT me code pati on question pusi answer karliya hote वैसे yedu savigin alla exactly prompt kerigin tala answer dile oda in code debug keride in coding le keride. So it is a tool provided. I mean, it is AI engine provided from the GitHub, which can be integrated in your VS Code. Just on a quick example that
It's okay. Vishnu, me last playlist last department series. Maybe we tell him tell the doubt magaya. Long detail me tell us
right. Last time we dedicated demo multiple scenario demo keride kadayadalla GitHub Copilot.
Okay. Cool.
Any other question? Anybody else? Okay, so if no questions, we can close the session. Thanks a lot. Thanks for your time and participation. Anga feedback sango. Mailumu later we will also share the feedback form share kervasi along with the training material and other things. Some examples, lack of time anga try kartam sunate the prompts pene devasithu mi try kiri savai.
Sure.
More doubt. Sorry, late question. Session useful can say year mala session ye abbai gal recording sete ya.
Sir. That was ella session recording kellamni chechi palaya session equally chechi on a playlist can create kare YouTube mo.
Okay.
We'll share the link. Okay. In fact, tunga ave invite mu see the link rahi. Tunga meeting invite avi hodega ye. Tyamu me include keri hode palaya session recording playlist.
Okay. Mo Teams link konte se sotam konni link dekani lamo.
तुम्ही मेल आयडी दे रजिस्टर करें ना तो मेल राहिदಲ್ಲ
ಸರಿ ಮೇಲ್ ಐಡಿ ರಿಜಿಸ್ಟರ್ ಕರೈರೆ ನೀವು
ಓಕೆ ಮೇ ಧಟ್ಟವೆಸ್ ಅದಾವುದು ಆಮಿ ಇಕೂದನು ಎಲ್ಲ ವಾಟ್ಸಪ್ ಗ್ರೂಪ್ ಉಂಡಿ दुसरा ಗ್ರೂಪ್ ಉಂಡಿ ಅವರಿ ಆಲ್ತಿ ಅವಿಗಿನ ರಿಜಿಸ್ಟರ್ ಕೇರ್ ಮಿತಿಗಿನ ತಲ ಮೇಲ್ ಐಡಿಗೆ ಇನ್ವೈಟ್ ಹರಿಯಾದ ಲೇಟರ್ ಅವಿಗಿನ ನೆಗೆ ಪ್ರೆಸ್ ಶೇರ್ ಕರರಿಯ ವಿ ವಿಲ್ ಶೇರ್ ದ ಸೇಮ್ ವೇ ಎಲ್ಲ ಪ್ಲೇ ಲಿಸ್ಟ್ ಅಪ್ಡೇಟ್ ಕಿತ್ತಿಗಿನ ಶೇರ್ ಕರರಿ
ಓಕೆ ಥ್ಯಾಂಕ್ಸ್
Vishnu, I mean, AWS go with the plan with Sangu, right?
Sure. since some people connected late, அடுத்த வீன் அதில் ஏஐ ஒர்க் ஷாப் சீரீஸ் வீக்கணும் அங்கே ஒன்றரை செஷன் சேர்த்தாங்க advanced and agentic AI. Parallel ganavin, we are thinking and we are planning to start cloud computation overview. We are planning to start workshop series. Okay, to start with, it will be basic cloud kona use karta because I mean we asked people opinion in poll. So many people asked for basics restart kirvam namari. So we are planning to start with the basics. Then depending on the participation interest, we can even plan advanced topics also in cloud computing. And further, it will be helpful really for people who are learning also if we are kind of taking it to a project on a project carrying they can utilize it for their personal use or job search then on a project carrying they can showcase we can plan that way. To start with, it is going to be basics. We will roll out the plan once the timing clear we'll circulate the information and we'll keep you updated. One second thing I am saying, cloud already experience. If you would like to train others or coach others, please write to us in this email ID. You can definitely contribute as a mentor also. The aspect one learning Juku participation. For example, last session, part 1 session, we had around 70 people participating, but today I could see only 30 people. So this itself is for us, it is kind of discouraging. Kamnadi anga ami Jukudanga reach way chokkodne hodariya. So spread the word, encourage people to participate in these sessions because in live session you can ask your question, get it clarified. Recorded lesson is recorded lesson. So live session it has a lot of advantage. You can share your thoughts. Dusranu already experience thoughts share karano. So these are the advantage. So encourage others also to participate. For the cloud computing, we will circulate the information once the plan is ready.
Okay.
Session chokada hoda sahi. Tale me in the new gun join kar rahi hai. Vishnu.
Thank you. Thanks for the kind words. Spread the word. तुम्ही दुसऱ्यांगामली काढवा, दुसऱ्यांगामली join gear म्हणून further sessions.
Sure. So ile academic level hedari tumi general gun industry level work kar rahe tinga hedari hai.
At the AI series I mean start kare more of usage basis kan. Introduction to AI in various scenario I'll quickly go to that slide. Yeah. So I'm saying AI to job search use on a session career. That was our first session. AI productivity improvement and content creation on a session career. So part 2 it's still to be done. Maybe in 2 weeks time we'll do that. Phone and data security on a session career. Then fourth one was AI as a companion for software developer. So sessions pura every usage scenario we are starting with the basics. Right? For example, at the Hinda session it was planned as a 2-hour session, but now it became almost 4 or more than 4 hours. We split it to 2 parts. So it is gradually getting into detail. Further interest if you want to learn more, we can even plan. For example, advanced AI one session plan further if people are interested and many people show interest, and of course we would require some mentors also so that it is easier to conduct session. So yes,
yeah,
we
definitely
can plan.
it is really useful for everyone because it is a new concept.
Exactly. That's why we wanted to
initial gan programming start karatala just on programming kari tala API gan convert hoyi adadella on the interface just we easy gan avi on the mutta on the already seta inbuilt gan sete avi integrate kari easy usability gan karraso giri ada kadesi last se mana SDLC avi just ಒಂದ 2 minutes ಅವಿ ತನ ಫುಲ್ ಗಣ ಆರ್ಕಿಟೆಕ್ಚರ್ ಅವಿ ಡಿಸೈನ್ ಗಿರಿ ಸೋಗೆರ್ ರಸನ್ ಹೋಗ್ಯಾರೆ
Exactly. So
but validate kenna full gun accurate kan denaanu general gan avi on high level diagram avi itano AI provide kare itala high
exactly. So validate kenna hore definitely it is on our part, like you cannot completely rely on it. We'll have to always cross check he say validate kenna hore it is our responsibility before really using it.
Okay, ಚೊಕಡ ಹದ ಸೆಷನ್ ತಲೆ ಮೀ RPM ವರ್ಕ್ ಎಲ್ಲ ಸದೆ ರೋಬೋಟಿಕ್ ಪ್ರಾಸೆಸ್ ಆಟೋಮೇಷನ್ ಮಿನಿಮನ್ ಅದು ಜನರಲ್ ಗಣ ಅವಿ ಅಂಡ 10-15 years ಬ್ಯಾಕ್ ಅವಿ ಡಾಕ್ಯುಮೆಂಟ್ ಅವಿ ಕ್ಲಾಸಿಫೈ ಕರಿ ಡಾಕ್ಯುಮೆಂಟ್ಸ್ ಇದ ಡೇಟಾ ಎಕ್ಸ್ಟ್ರಾಕ್ಟ್ ಕರಿ ತಲೆ ಅವಿ ಒಂಡ XML ಫಾರ್ಮೆಟ್ ಕನ್ವರ್ಟ್ ಕರಿ ಒಂಡ DBeam ಸ್ಟೋರ್ ಕಿರುವ ಡೇಟಾಬೇಸ್ ಸ್ಟೋರ್ ಕಿರುವ ಯಾರ್ ಅದರ್ ವೆಬ್ ಅಪ್ಲಿಕೇಶನ್ ಸ್ಟೋರ್ ಕಿರುವ ಸೊ ತೇಡ್ ಮುಲ್ಲ ಮೆಷಿನ್ ಲರ್ನಿಂಗ್ ಒಂಡ ಡಾಕ್ಯುಮೆಂಟ್ ತಲೆ ಟ್ರೈನ್ ಗಿರಿ त्याला डॉक्युमेंट काय टाइप ऑफ क्लासिफिकेशन तर अवी नेम अड्रेस त्याला नंबर्स पॉलिसी नंबर असके का आम्ही बॅकग्राऊंड मावी जस्ट त्याला 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 कीवर्ड्स आयडेंटिफाय करी त्याला ट्राइन करी त्याला मग डेटा एक्सट्रॅक्ट करी XML फॉर्मॅट कन्वर्ट करी DBeam स्टोर करी त्याला कॉन्सेप्ट त्याला अवी स्टार्टिंग मध्ये आताच्या अडवान्स्ड गणवी चॅट GPT त्याला सोनावी असकी एंटायर गणवी डेटा no data full gun aski entire concept avi cover garasana hodare hi
Sure.
Karthikeyan, sorry, 1 second. Karthikeyan, one quick question. तुम्ही ओपन AI काय यूज करत असेल?
ನೀ ಇಲ್ಲ ಮೀ ಎವಿ ಮೆಷಿನ್ ಲರ್ನಿಂಗ್ ತಲ ಕಾನ್ಸೆಪ್ಟ್ ಅವಿ ಬ್ಯಾಕ್ಗ್ರೌಂಡ್ ಅಂತದ RPA ಕೋಫ್ಯಾಕ್ಸ್ ಮಿನಿಮಮ್ ಅನ್ನೋ ಒಂದು ಪ್ರಾಡಕ್ಟ್ ತಲ ಮೋರ್ ಕೆಲಸ
RPM there are different frameworks. The RPA kartaga there are frameworks.
What extract kertar you apply ML, but extract kertaga are you using open AI into the anikoni nee okay
yakoni lesson use karani
it's more into automation. What I was about to say is for example RPA patti begin, if people want to understand, maybe we can organize one session where you can present, since to me already experience you can present it to people about RPA. That also we can plan. To me plan kartam se reach in this mail ID, we can discuss further and plan it out.
Okay.
So that it can be useful for others.
Sure. Thank you, Vishnu.
Thank you. Thanks everyone.
Thank you so much, Vishnu.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you, Vishnu.
Thank you. Thanks everybody. Bye bye.